So, sometime in March of 2021, I was having a regular day and was hanging out with my best friend at the time. I was going through some pretty traumatic things in my life when it came to my relationships and friendships with other people. The only good thing about my life at the time really was my relationship with all of my children. But hanging out with my best friend, and I was talking to him about this guy that I was in a relationship with. And I said to him, you know, so-and-so must not like me or must do these things to me because I look like shit. Like, I don't even look pretty anymore. I must not be worth it because I'm not pretty, right? And my friend, got really angry at me in that moment, and he actually said something that was like really snappy and nasty about it, and I was like, whoa, because like he was never really like that. He didn't like when I would say things like that about myself, but he would always be nice about it. But in that moment, he looked at me and then looked away and was like, I can't even look at you right now because I can't believe you would say something like that about yourself. Knowing full well how amazing and beautiful you are and all the things that you are able to do and accomplish, and he just kind of went on a spiel, you would really let somebody like him make you feel like you're unworthy. And really, it doesn't matter what a person has going on for them in their life, like what they have going for them in their life. They have a good job, a nice house, nice car, you know, a bunch of money. Nobody that does things to you intentionally to hurt you or cause you some kind of pain or anguish, they're not worth a thought, let alone you feeling like you're unworthy of their love. And in that moment, I got like icky feeling, but like I just tried to move past it and just try not to think about it. And I don't know what it was, but I couldn't function after that. I like literally could not function, and I had planned on staying at my friend's house for a little while longer, but at that point I couldn't even stay there any longer. I was like, I don't know why, but I just feel like I gotta go home and I need to go to bed. That's what I kept thinking, right? And I kind of know why now, that my first response is going to bed. So I'm like, can we just hurry up and get everything together, and can you drive me home? And so we got everything together and jumped in the car, and it was like a half-hour drive to my house. And it's like back roads that are windy and country, and I live in the mountains in Pennsylvania. And we didn't even get like 2 blocks from his house, and I swear I started bawling. And I was like really trying to keep myself from crying at first, and I couldn't even keep myself from crying. Like, it just kept coming, and it kept getting louder and more sobby. And first of all, I don't like crying. I had never liked crying. I was like the girl that prided herself in not crying and couldn't stand girls that did cry. Like, I really had a hard time even keeping girlfriends because I just I couldn't stand when they cried. Like, I would look at them and be like, why are you crying? Like, get over it. Like, what the hell? But in that moment, like, I couldn't stop myself, and I just was just bawling and bawling. And I didn't even like crying in front of people, like my best friend, my significant other. Literally, I despised crying. Little did I know that I'd be spending the next 3 to 4 hours in my friend's car, bawling louder and messier and more insane than I had ever in my life, and probably every time I had ever cried put together in my life. It was very interesting, to say the least. So I'm crying, and I'm like having my body facing the door, the passenger seat, because I'm like really embarrassed to even be crying like this, especially. And I got snot going everywhere. He was trying to like comfort, like say, hey, it's okay, don't worry about it, like just let it out, blah blah blah. He was trying to like put his hand on my shoulder, and that irritated me. Basically, we get to my house and I realized, like, I can't go in right now. Like, I can't even move, let alone go in while I can't even stop crying. And I don't even know why I'm freaking crying. I figured it would scare my kids and whatnot. So he's like, well, do you want me to just go park somewhere? Do you want me to turn around and go back to my house? And I asked if he would just go park somewhere. So, kind of, I cried, you know. So, he took me to one of the malls that was close to my house, and we sat there. And let me just say, like, I don't even remember half the time that I was at the mall parking lot. I remember before getting to the mall, asking him to take me to the hospital. I felt like I was insane. Like, I literally thought I was insane. I thought I had, like, schizophrenia or something, because for a good portion of the ride to the mall parking lot, oh my god, I don't even want to say this because it's going to make me seem insane. I don't know how people call on children and youth on me and everything else, but you know what? The Lord, or source, whatever you want to call him, or her, they've been telling us, my collective, the people that are vibrating at my level, that we need to speak our truth, that we need to speak up, let our truth be heard, so that others can understand that they're not alone. And that's all I've ever wanted in my life, is to feel like somebody understood me. To feel like somebody understood me and still wanted to stick around. So, the only way I can explain this is if you think of a movie with or an interview with somebody that has multiple personality disorder or MID. Which I think they're calling that dissociative identity disorder now, if I'm correct. So as I'm still crying, I'm trying to get out to my friend what is happening to me so that I can convince him to take me to the hospital. And I say, I keep saying I'm going through stages. And I kept trying to figure out how to like get it to come out, and as I was going through these stages, I was literally becoming these people, I guess. Is what it felt like in the moment, right? It felt like I was switching through these stages, or time frames, I should say. So I would start off being a baby, and I would like cry like a baby. I would feel like I was a baby. Like I could feel in my body I was a baby. A newborn, like somebody that could not help herself. And then I would feel a little bit older and like more like a toddler. I would feel everything like a toddler. And I'm pretty sure I acted that out as well. I don't remember if I asked him or not. But it felt like I was. Like it felt like I was crying like an infant when I was an infant. You know what I mean? And basically it goes from the infant, young child, to like a teenager, and into my age, and then I was older or something like that. Or no, it might have been like up until now, I think it was. So there might have been like a middle, a tween and a teen, and then my age now or whatever. And it's not like it would switch a baby, stay there for a while, and then go on to something else. No, it was like literally within the matter of minutes, I was switching from these 5 stages over and over and over and over in a freaking loop. Like it felt like it was never gonna end, and I was starting to freak out more and more. Like every time I would go to start to change, I would try to like get words out that were my own to tell him to take me to the effing hospital. But who knows? Maybe it was that, and that was like the come out of my alters or whatever you would call them. And so basically he's like, no, you're not crazy. You're just going through something right now, and it's manifesting on the outside, and you will get through this, and if not, then I will take you to the hospital. And I was like, okay. So we get to the mall. I don't remember a whole lot, but we were there for a few hours, I guess. And at one point, I remember I got really, really, really hot, so I had to take off like a sweatshirt that I had on. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I had to use some inhaler, I think, and then the next thing I know, I went completely limp. Like I was paralyzed. Like I could not move a muscle. Like I couldn't move my arm. He would have to blow my nose. And then I went unconscious for a while. Like I went unconscious. I left my body. I remember coming back into my body. And feeling like that initial scared feeling, like if you've ever fainted and then you're waking up from your fainting and you feel like you're going to kill anybody that's standing next to you. So he was like trying to like get away from me and whatnot. Until I realized, you know, I was okay. I was in the car and everything was going to be fine. And as soon as like I was able to just realize I was going to be okay and breathe, I was okay. This isn't a part of this, what I want this isn't going to be a part of what I want this video to be about, but I will say at this point, it is not until this time in my life, February 2023, that I have finally realized what the whole thing was actually showing me. I have just kind of gotten to the point where I'm almost finishing out this one part of my journey, my spiritual journey, this lesson that Spirit has had me on for a while. And it was like a multiple parter. So like you have the core, and then it got a little deeper and a little deeper and a little deeper. And I think I'm about to completely finish the whole thing out. But it was important for Spirit to show me in different layers, because we can't handle everything at once. That's why we blocked some of these things out in the first place, you know? That's why our mind perceived things different than the way that it was when we were in the situation in itself, leading to these triggers we have and everything else. So I didn't really know what the whole situation I had just gone through was, but I knew it was intense and I knew it wasn't normal. And of course, for my brain, I need to know, and I will do as much research for as long as possible until I believe without a doubt that that is what happened to me. And if that which I believe did happen to me without a doubt could have been anything else, I will always have the second most logical possibility. But the weirdest thing is, I got home after I was able to calm down and stuff like that. I was like scrolling my phone and stuff finally, and I came across this energy post about what the energies was going to be for that week. And then it went into like a second part about what it feels like to be awakened, to go through an awakening. And I was like, this is what happened to me. This is what it was. And I had no doubt in my mind that it was the awakening. It wasn't disassociating. It wasn't a split personality start or something like that. Like, even though that was the next reasonable possibility. Like, I just knew it was more than that. And so that's what started me on my spiritual path. At first it was more of like a twin flame mindset. And then I started digging into like the manifestation and stuff like that, because in the empath and certain energy works, and it led me to the community of witches that I am parts of now. I work with all the elements, and I suppose you could call me a witch, but I don't really feel like a witch. I feel like a god, I guess. It's more what I feel like, because I have the ability to do whatever I want to do. I'm not specific to one path as a witch or whatever. And I have really good abilities with every single one of the elements, plus spirit. And I have almost all of the clairs. I'm still learning how to harness all of my gifts and powers and whatnot, but I haven't stopped working on any of it. And no matter what lesson I'm going through on my journey, that the universe will show you. There will be plenty of synchronicities. You guys know this. Whatever lesson I was learning at the time, I always made sure to incorporate all of the other things to help process. Meditation, hypnosis, candle magic, and self-love spells, and spiritual cleansings, and just anything and everything that I could dig into. I'm digging into it at all times. Like, everything that used to be important to me slowly started falling away, and not miserably either. Like, it's not at the point that I am now where I dread everything that I have to let go and release, that the universe tells me that I need to let go of. Back then it was more of the things just didn't matter to me like they once did. And not in a I'm going into a depression type of way, but more of they just don't matter. They're not of value. Like, even sex became just something that you could do, or maybe that your partner needed, or that you randomly needed to have a few moments to yourself. But it was never like it used to be, like, I feel like I need it, or, like, oh my gosh, I have an urge so bad. Like, it just wasn't there anymore. And even when I wanted it to be, I couldn't connect with people anymore in a way that helped me be passionate and excited about that. I started looking at every single person that was in my life, not even consciously, but even unconsciously. Like, I would just get irritated around certain people after a while and just not want to be around them anymore, because I finally felt how icky they made me feel when I was in their presence, and so I just stopped talking to some people, and then some people I had to say, hey, we can't be friends anymore. We just, need to part ways. And just slowly but surely let all these people go. To the point where I had my kids left. Oh, except for my oldest. She didn't like me anymore. And, my husband. But that's a longer story. Like, we were together, but we weren't vibrating on the right frequency. We weren't like we were. And so I went into my like dark night of the soul, I guess, where it was kind of like the depression phase of your spiritual awakening, where because nothing is feeling right to you anymore, nothing resonates with your soul like it once did, you start to feel isolated and depressed. You're lonely because you don't have anybody else to hang out with or talk to because nobody's left in your life. And the people that are in your life still probably aren't vibrating at the same frequency as you. So you have really nothing left to talk about. So all you can do is study and learn and surrender to whatever source and spirit guides are trying to tell you and what you're trying to learn, so that you can unlearn everything that has caused you trauma, so that you can better yourself, become the best version of yourself, right? But during that dark period of the soul, at least that part, the main focus seemed to be on recognizing the patterns of all the people that have ever been in my life, recognizing the patterns that they brought that were not right, that I was hiding from myself in at least some way. And Spirit just like started opening up all the ways that I wasn't showing up for myself because I wasn't making these people show up for me in all the right ways. And how I was getting my self-worth from these people in some way, somehow. And it showed me, like, you finally understand at that point, like, what it's always meant to. You have to love yourself before you love other people. You have to put the work into yourself in order to get back more. To get back what you want in life. Wow. So, because I was also learning how to surrender, I was sitting in that process as well, like understanding that we're not always going to feel okay in every situation, right? But learning how to remain in certain situations while surrendering. So staying with your spouse, even though you're not vibrating at the same frequency, you're unable to communicate because they don't understand you. And quite frankly, you're frustrated with everything that they're saying because it's just not of value, right? And you're even more frustrated because you can't make them see, you can't get them to know what you feel and what you see so that they can feel and see what you see and feel, so that they can be happier, so that in turn you guys can be happier. That's not our job. Our job isn't to force people to wake up. Our job is to be in our power, love ourselves, know our own worth, so that we vibrate on that frequency and express it to everyone else. And it's them seeing you stand in your power, them seeing how beautiful your light shines when you know how truly special you are. That's what starts to wake them up. That's what makes them love you. That's what they need and you need and everyone else needs. But that is a hard place to get to, especially when you're sitting in that environment, getting all those triggers and having to learn how to work through them. How to work through the triggers that you're getting triggered from their behaviors and their words. And learning that those triggers aren't them and their wrongs. It's you and your inner soul traumas. So we stop seeing them as the evil person in our lives or the unhealed person in our lives or the asshat in our life that is causing us trauma and pain and misfortune. It's us standing in our own way by thinking that we need them to know how worthy we are so that we can feel loved and then in turn show them love. No.